English. Dear friends, in today's video, you are going to learn about one important thing, that is non-finite clauses. Have you heard about these non-finite clauses? What are these non-finite clauses? These non-finite clauses are very important for you if you really want to learn English language. When you want to communicate in English or when you are writing in English, the knowledge of these non-finite clauses helps you a lot. Those who learn these non-finite clauses will have an upper hand in English language. If you want to convey your ideas very precisely, you must know what exactly a non-finite clause is. Unless you are good at these non-finite clauses, I am quite sure you cannot write sentences very briefly. Because these non-finite clauses will help you a lot to reduce the size of the sentences. Particularly, when you are converting a complex sentence or a compound sentence into a simple sentence, you should use these non-finite clauses. Here I insist on two important things. Point number one, if you really want to convey your ideas very precisely to your listeners or to your readers, you should know these non-finite clauses. Point number two, when you are converting a complex sentence or a compound sentence into a simple sentence, you must use these non-finite clauses. Otherwise, you cannot do those two things. Not only for these two things, those people who are appearing for the competitive exams must have a good knowledge of these non-finite clauses. The knowledge of these non-finite clauses will help them a lot when they are rewriting the sentences. So friends, that much importance these non-finite clauses have got. So today, let's discuss these non-finite clauses very clearly and understand what exactly these non-finite clauses are. How to recognize these non-finite clauses? You see, the word clause is a combination of words. When it is a combination of words, we see more than one word in that group. But a non-finite clause is different from the other clauses. There is a lot of difference between the non-finite clause and the finite clause. You see friends, there are two important clauses in English grammar. One is the finite clause and the another one is the present one, non-finite clause. The non-finite clause and the finite clause are entirely different from each other. In what way are they different? You cannot find the tense of the non-finite clause because you cannot find any verb in a non-finite clause. That's why you cannot determine the tense of the non-finite clause. Point number two, in a non-finite clause, we don't find the subject either. So, the verb is absent and even the subject is also absent in a non-finite clause. But when it comes to a finite clause, the subject and verb are very important. That is the first major difference between the finite clause and the non-finite clause. The non-finite clause has no tense and no subject also. But in a finite clause, the subject and verb are very essential. That is the first difference. Point number three. When you are making a non-finite clause, we use certain words in English language. Which words are used? Instead of a verb, we use words which appear like verbs, which has got the force of verbs. What are those words? We have discussed the present participles, that is the gerund. The second one is we have discussed the past participles, and the third one we have also discussed the infinitive, and we have also discussed the perfect participles. These are the four things which appear like verbs. These words appear like verbs, but they are not verbs. But still, they have got the force of a verb in them. So these four things, the infinitives, present participles, past participles and the perfect participles are used mainly in the non-finite clauses. Why? As we have just discussed, the non-finite clauses have no tense. Since these non-finite clauses do not take any tense in them, we use present participles, past participles, infinitives and perfect participles in them. So, these are the four important things that you should use in a non-finite clause. So friends, you see, these are the things you have to use when you are writing a non-finite clause. How to identify a non-finite clause? In a non-finite clause, we don't find any tense because the non-finite verbs do not have any tense. Second thing, they don't have subjects either. And third thing is that in the non-finite clauses, we use non-finite verbs such as the present participles, past participles, infinitives and the perfect participles. Let's discuss all these things through some examples so that you can understand what exactly a non-finite clause is. Friends, look at these sentences. Sentence number one. Seeing the snake, he ran away. The first underlined part is the non-finite clause. Why? In a non-finite clause, both the subject and verb are absent. Here, what is the subject? The subject is not there. Do you have any verb here? No. Don't think that the seeing is verb. It is the present participle, nothing but the gerund. So it is not the verb here. No subject, no verb. And what is the subject of this sentence? Here. He ran away. Every sentence must have a subject and must have verb also. In this sentence, this he is the subject, whereas ran is the verb. So the second part is called the finite clause. A clause which has got the subject and verb in it is called a finite clause. A clause which has no subject and no verb is called a non-finite clause. So in this first sentence, only one subject is there and one verb is there. So the second part is the finite clause, whereas the first part is called a non-finite clause. So here, what is the verb used here? Present participle is used as the non-finite verb. And you see, how do you get the tense for this non-finite clause? By seeing the tense of the second part. In the second part, ran is used. So that is the past tense. So based on that one, we can understand that the first non-finite clause is also in the past tense. And the subject for this non-finite clause is again the same one that is used in the finite clause. That is he. He is the subject for this one and verb for this non-finite clause is past tense because the second part is in past tense. So in the first sentence, a present participle is used to make a non-finite clause. What is a non-finite verb? A verb which has no time or tense is called a non-finite verb. A clause which has no tense or time or the subject is called a non-finite clause. In this one, subject is not there. Whom are we talking about here? We don't know. What is the tense of this clause? We don't know. But you look at the second one, he is the subject, ran is the verb. Subject is present and verb is also present. That's why that is called a finite clause, and a verb which has got the tense is called a finite verb. In this one, subject is absent and verb are absent, but it is a group of words. That's why it is called a non-finite clause. In the second part, subject is there and also verb is also there. That's why it is called a finite clause. The verb which we use in a finite clause is called a finite verb, and a verb-like word which we use in a non-finite clause is called a non-finite verb. Look at the second sentence. Driven by greed, he killed her. Here the subject is he and killed is the verb. And what is the underlined part? Driven by greed. Is there any subject in this part? No. And is there any verb here? No. Don't think that this driven is the verb. It is not the verb here. If it is verb, it should be the third form of the verb. When do we use third forms of the verbs? Generally we use those verbs in perfect tenses. If we use perfect tenses, the verb should be preceded. That means come before certain auxiliary verbs. Do we have any auxiliary verbs here? No. So it is not the verb. So what is it? It's a non-finite verb. This is not a verb. So this part is called a non-finite clause because in this part we don't have the subject and we don't have the verb also. And in the second part the subject is there and verb is also there. So that's why it is called a finite clause. A clause which has got the subject and verb is called a finite clause. A clause which has no subject and no verb is called a non-finite clause. In a non-finite clause we use non-finite verbs. What are the four important non-finite verbs? Present participles, past participles, perfect participles and infinitives. That's what we are discussing now. Now look at the third sentence. To learn English, you are watching my videos. And the underlined part is to learn English. Here the subject is not there and even we don't have the verb also. And this to learn is not the verb. What is this to learn? It is an infinitive. Infinitives are also used as a non-finite verbs because infinitives are not the verbs. They look like the verbs. They have got the force of the verbs, but they are not used as verbs. And there is a finite clause here. You are watching my videos. Subject is you, or watching is the verb. So the tense of this one is present continuous. So based on this one, we can understand that this part is also in present tense. And the subject for this non-finite clause is you. When we use a non-finite clause in a sentence, the non-finite clause gets the subject and the verb from the finite clause because this is the subject for this one and this is the tense for this non-finite clause. So in sentence number 3, infinitive is used as a non-finite verb to make the non-finite clause. In the first one, present participle, that is V4, and in the second one, V3, past participle is used as the non-finite verb. And in the third one, infinitive is used as the non-finite verb to make the non-finite clause here. And we look at the fourth sentence. Having finished her works, she came home. Here the subject is she, came is the verb. And what is this underlined part? This is the non-finite clause. In this part, as we have discussed, there is no subject and even we don't have verb either. So this is called the non-finite clause. In a non-finite clause, there should be no subject and there should be no verb. Don't think that this having finished is the verb. It is perfect participle. About these perfect participles we have discussed in the previous videos. About these infinitives also we have discussed in the previous videos. About these past participles also we have discussed in the previous videos. About these present participles, that is nothing but the gerunds, also we have discussed in the previous videos. Dear friends, if you really want to learn English, the knowledge of present participles, past participles, infinitives and perfect participles is very important. Those who do not know what exactly these four things are cannot learn English at any cost. I am 100% sure. These are the important things to learn English language. That's why I have already made videos on all these things. You go back to my videos and if you want to learn these things again, you just watch my videos and I am going to give you the link also in the description. Subject for this non-finite clause is she and the tense for this non-finite clause is here, that is came, past tense. So you should think that this part is also in the past tense. In the non-finite clauses we don't have subjects and even we don't have verbs also. Where do we get those subjects and verbs? From the finite clauses, remember it. And finally, having been invited, I attended the meeting. Here also the non-finite clause is used here. Perfect passive participle. Perfect passive participle. Be plus V3. What is be plus V3? Passive voice. But it has no verb. Don't think that this is the verb. It is not the verb. Having been invited. Do we have such verbs? They are not verbs. What is it? It's a perfect passive participle. And what is the clause here? I attended the meeting. So I is subject and attended is the verb. So it is in past tense. This part has no subject and no verb also. So it is called the non-finite clause. So dear friends, this is how we use non-finite clauses using the present participles, past participles, perfect participles and infinitives. These are the four non-finite verbs which are used in non-finite clauses. The knowledge of these non-finite clauses will definitely help you when you are converting a compound sentence or a compound sentence into a simple sentence. If you want to convert a compound sentence or a complex sentence into a simple sentence, you should know these non-finite clauses. Because when you are converting a compound sentence or a complex sentence into a simple sentence, we convert one of the clauses into a non-finite clause. The other important thing about this non-finite clause is that these clauses will definitely help you to write in English very briefly, or when you are speaking in English also, you can express your ideas very precisely using these non-finite clauses. Dear friends, before closing this video, I request you all to subscribe to my channel if you really think that my videos are interesting and useful. And also, don't forget to hit a like button if you think that my video is interesting. That's all for today from my side. With more interesting videos and updates, I will be back very soon. Until then, bye.